Hello everyone, welcome to today's show. My name is Spencer Walsh. You're listening to The Wake Up. On the show, the government has reached that bipartisan group of bicameral legislators have reached a deal to possibly maybe avoid the government shutdown. The question is now, will it pass the House? Will it pass the Senate? Will Trump sign it? Yeah, we are not through the woods on this thing at all yet. So, thank you so much for joining us here on this Tuesday. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, and let's do it. So we start on the Hill. And the question is, to finish the wall or to not? That is the question, as I just said. On the precipice of another government shutdown, lawmakers came to an agreement in principle last night. So that means, again, nowhere near done. And the agreement that they came to in principle last night gives President Trump $1.375 billion for border barriers. And that's 55 miles of border fencing with certain restrictions on the location. Obviously, you can't build it through mountains. You can't build it really through deserts. In case you haven't done the math yourself, the number is well below Trump's original request for the $5.7 to build 200 miles of wall along the southern border. The deal pretty much immediately failed the Sean Hannity test. The question is, will it fail the, as someone said, I think on TNN last night, was like, will it fail the President Coulter test? Will it fail the President Limbaugh test? We don't know. Probably. Democrats also gave in on a key point, lowering the cap on the number of detention beds. That's what we knew. I think yesterday, that's what we reported, that the main hang-up was over, as the Washington Post explains, lowering the cap on the number of detention beds that ICE has at its disposal, that they argued was a necessary check on Trump's immigration crackdown. Democrats dropped their call for a new cap on interior detention beds, and the overall cap of detention beds went from 49,057 to 40,520. So, yeah. The success of the agreement is still contingent on the president, and while congressional negotiators said they were hopeful Trump signed off the deal, they said they had not been given any assurances. And I think the pressure here is really going to be so great. According to pretty much everyone involved, he's been heavily pushed to not do a national emergency, which is one of his two options. I really have a hard time believing that he was going to try and shut down the government again, but there is still very much a case to be made that he could try it, a national emergency. That would be much to the chagrin, really, of every Republican, because the Republicans have really not been a big fan of the national emergency option on this. So that's very interesting. So, speaking in El Paso in front of banners that read "Finish the Wall," Trump told the crowd he opted not to be briefed on the deal prior to be taking the stage. But he did say, quote, "Just so you know, we're building the wall anyway, folks. We're building the wall." In an interview with Fox News' Laura Ingraham that took place before he went on the stage, Trump divorced himself from the deal and said he had the choice between sitting down for an interview and reviewing the details of the pact. But yes, they're talking. We'll see what happens. So yeah, as of let's see, has Trump weighed in on this deal yet? He's probably up in Fox and Friendsing at this point. It's around 9 as we record this. So what I'm gonna really do is check that out. We're gonna check that out quite quickly, and get a better idea on that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he goes. And apparently, also a BBC cameraman was attacked by a guy in a MAGA hat there. So, but we don't know. Has he weighed on this? Let's see. Yeah, no, he hasn't. So we don't know where he is yet on the wall. What he thinks about on the deal. The Post's Robert Costa gleaned several tidbits last night about the White House preliminary action on the news, as White House officials on Monday night reviewed the terms, but then not indicate immediate positions. They're saying they're keeping options open at the time. Apparently, a congressional aide told negotiations told power up to the Democratic contention on the ICE cap was a crucial prerequisite to brokering the deal. So now, guess what they're going to get to do? They get to say, okay, now we're the party of compromise. We compromise on this, and that's going to be an incredibly effective thing to come out and trumpet to the media and say, okay, look at what we did. We were able to compromise here on this situation. We deserve credit for that. And that's something that that for next time, I think Democrats should not hesitate to use that kind of leverage that they have as the party who compromised in the future. Not saying that the Republicans are going to be open to taking it, but I think it is something that they should definitely use there. So a congressional aide, familiar with the negotiations, said that was the key prerequisite. So the former commissioner of Customs and Border Patrol under Obama, Gil Kurliksowski, told the Post that there didn't seem to be a strong argument on the Democrats' behalf, saying, quote, "I think when you try to put a cap on beds, you may be saying the message that once we run out of beds, we'll have to release the people into the interior, especially if the asylum deal with Mexico doesn't work out." So, I think it's going to be very important also for the Democrats to continue to crack down on this policy, some of Trump's really worse and more draconian immigration policy. That's going to be something they have to do. Nevertheless, immigration hardliners were on the right were quick to express their displeasure with the deal, which did actually see a drop in detention beds, not just to the about 9,000 or so drop on this these amount of beds, not just to the amount that Democrats wanted. Blowback from the right echo chamber has in the past dictated where Trump will go on the issue, so that may be worth considering. Mark Krikorian, who was one of the people that convinced Trump to continue the shutdown while it was going on, he met with Trump in the White House saying, quote, "Reduction in ICE capacity more than cancels out any benefit from that small amount of extra fencing." Mark Meadows tweeted, "The conference agreement is hardly a serious attempt to secure our border and stop the flow of illegal immigrants. It kicks the can down the road yet again, failing to address the critical priorities outlined by the Border Patrol chiefs. Congress is not doing its job. GOP, please drop the line, finish the wall signs. Dems are the party of liars, not us," she tweeted. Of course, she's still complaining about, the wall's not getting enough money. Okay. Stop complaining. All right, so here's what I'm saying right now. Probably one of the stories that fired me up the most yesterday was Ilhan Omar's story of anti-Semitism, supposedly, and I just did not get it. So here's how it went down. Ilhan Omar apologized for tweeting that she saw what many saw as an anti-Semitic trope on Sunday evening, suggesting that pro-Israel lawmakers in Congress are motivated by the money they receive from a lobbyist. Omar's tweet, "It's all about the Benjamins, baby," sparked a harsh condemnation from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and other Democratic leaders. In her statement, Omar said she never intended to offend constituents or Jewish Americans as a whole, and this is why I unequivocally apologize. So credit to her. I think that statement was really probably as good as you can get for an apology. Still sticking to her guns to a large degree, but still apologizing for some people that were offended. So I think she really kind of had it both ways there on the situation. It really is an important issue because the influence that AIPAC does have in our politics is a pretty strong one. Like, there's a great thread that I did retweet on my Twitter account at SBW272 that completely outlines what she was talking about. It's all about the Benjamins, and this kind of money that AIPAC can provide in both donations to up-and-comers, up-and-coming candidates, allowing them to add more pro-Israel politicians to the ranks, and the fact that they spend millions and millions and millions and millions of lobbying each year, makes it A, all about the Benjamins, and B, hard for any other position in Washington to gain a real foothold, which is what's so significant about people like especially Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib actually bringing some contrast to the one lane that Washington has had on this for many decades. So that's why this is so important, in my opinion. So the episode pretty much laid bare some of the tensions in the Democratic Party that we outlined last week between the factions of the Democratic Party over what's been unwavering U.S. support of Israel versus new voices like Omar and Rashida Tlaib speaking out on behalf of the Palestinians. Like, I really think it's about time that someone has to speak out on behalf of these people because they have not had an easy run of it for the past for a long period of time. So one of the main places that they live, Gaza, is said to be uninhabitable by 2020, according to the UN. Like, it's not good. It's not good. And have someone speak out for them, I think, is really, really important. And I think the point she was trying to make here is objectively true. Like, we've seen it time and time again. I think there's OpenSecrets.com. Like, it proves it. And the fact is that I mean, obviously, we don't want to say, like, it's the Rothschilds controlling the Jewish politicians, like Alex Jones or something. But no, it's a lobbying group, just like any other lobbying group controls politicians to some degree. Like, it sucks that we have AIPAC there, but again, it also sucks that we have big pharma lobbyists. It also sucks that we have like, big fossil fuel lobbyists, like all that stuff. It's just such an incredible back and forth again and again and again, hit of lobbyists on these politicians, which makes it so hard for them to actually keep in touch with the people that they're supposed to be representing. Like, that's, I think, the point she was trying to make there. It was a money in politics point. I don't think it was an anti-Semitic point, but also, at the same time, it was a kind of a push to, I really think about Palestine. So that's really, I think, why I liked it in the most. Rashida Tlaib tweeted about the prejudices she thinks she faces as one of the first Muslim women serving in Congress, presumably as a response to today's firestorm. The hardest part about serving in Congress as a woman of color and as a first is how people hear you differently. No matter how much we take on the hate and stay true to who we are through our experiences, our voices are shushed and reduced. We aren't perfect, but neither is this institution. That's exactly right. So, real amounts of credit to Ilhan Omar for apologizing. Some of the things on Twitter, I just had to bury my head in the sand because I thought it was just too crazy to even be on Twitter anymore. People like Chelsea Clinton coming out there and saying things. I really thought Nancy Pelosi, who was supposed to be all of a sudden loyal to her Democratic colleagues, was just an absolute joke in terms of what she had to say there, because it just, oh my God, like it just got me like absolutely like what the hell is going on. So it's like Nancy Pelosi, Chelsea Clinton, all those other people just attacking. Makes me want to put my head in the sand sometimes. I don't know about you. Crazy day on Twitter yesterday, but off Twitter, outside the Beltway, Beto Mania is back. Former Texas Representative Beto O'Rourke appeared at a dueling rally along the U.S.-Mexico border in El Paso last night as Trump mocked the potential 2020 rival for his failed Senate bid and called for a wall in order to save lives. O'Rourke spoke about walls ending lives and led a march to a park right outside the Coliseum that Trump was speaking at. So a lot of symbolism, kind of the left wing pushing and breaking at the doors of where the entrenched president sits in his Coliseum. I don't know. It's to paint the image there for you. In one of the safest stadiums in the U.S., safe not because of wall, but in spite of walls, O'Rourke told the crowd, secure because we treat one another with dignity and respect. That is the way we make our communities and our country safe. And of course, obviously, really showing off his Obama-like speech skills. And his immigration voting history tells a little bit of a different story. Just saying. So, we can show the rest of the country. He finishes that walls don't make us safer. O'Rourke pulled a crowd of around 7,000 people, according to the Texas Tribune and Patrick's FedEx, Julian Aguilar, and was peppered with questions from media outlets about the prospects of 2020. I'm going to follow the community's lead, he says, and that's what for me tonight is all about. Nothing less and nothing more. He told reporters on a conference call hours before the march. So 2020 apparently actually runs through Rachel Maddow these days for the Democrats. Meanwhile, fresh 2020 candidate Senator Amy Klobuchar made the obligatory stop on Rachel Maddow's MSNBC cable show last night to see what she wanted to be seen as voters as a progressive. Instead, she wanted to be seen by voters as a progressive, so start acting like an Amy. Stop sponsoring legislation with Ben Sass. That could be a perfect first step. And reiterated that she loves her staff and knows that she has high expectations for herself and the people who work with her. Helpful rundown here from Jeff Stein on her policies going into 2020, which is, in the end, beyond all the staff stuff, is the most important thing. Klobuchar is running for president on a policy agenda of lowering prescription drug costs, expanding saving accounts to people to save for their education. Not what we want. We want college-free debt here. A slew of internet-related policies, including expanding rural broadband, tougher privacy laws, according to senior downtrodden aides to the senator. So, Klobuchar who has withheld her support for the more liberal proposals made by the Democratic lawmakers,